A better route. Chapter 99. Obito had gathered up the council and most of the Rookie 12 a few days after Sound and Root incident to discuss their plan of action now that everyone was at the top of their game. They all knew the Akatsuki weren't going to be giving up anytime soon, and for one they wanted to be the ones on the offensive. Naruto was being very stubborn about one particular topic: I've gotta be the one who goes after Pain. Tsunade wasn't having it. Come on Naruto, we aren't going to have you go fight one of the most dangerous men in world, for crying out loud. Obito had to give Naruto credit where credit was due. In reality, Naruto is one of the most dangerous people in the world as well. He's surpassed even Jiraiya in the use of the toads, and he's got a tailed beast who's willing to work with him. I honestly think he'll be able to beat Pain. Naruto screamed, "See!" Obito also had to note though, however, I also can't let him go chasing after Pain simply for revenge. Naruto could see he was going to have to fight Obito on this as well. This isn't about revenge, it's way more than that. One of us is the child of the prophecy, which means either he or I are going to be the one to either destroy or save the world. I've got to take him on one so we can see who it is. Now that argument was one Obito could get behind. I suppose that's true. It would be an insult to Jiraiya's memory if we didn't let Naruto do this. Tsunade knew that one was true. Can't we at least have someone go with him to make sure that if things go bad we can pull him out of there fast? Naruto didn't want anyone going with him. I told you, I've gotta fight him one-on-one. Conan had a solution. I think I should be the one to go with him. I know more about Pain's fighting style than anyone, and I could Naruto get out of there in no time if I needed to. Of course I'll stay out of the fight, and I can tell everything you need to know about Pain before while we're on our way there. Naruto could live with that. Okay, that sounds good to me. Any objections? No one really saw any kind of issue. It made pretty much perfect sense. Obito had someone in particular he wanted to go after as well. Now that that's settled, I want everyone to know I have every intention of being the one to bring down my mother. Rin was nervous at hearing that. Are you sure, sweetie? Do you really think you can kill your own mother? Obito had been thinking this through for some time now. I want to avoid killing her if I can, but if all else fails I'll do what I have to. My mother's gone mad, and frankly I think this is what she would have wanted me to do back when she's still thinking straight. Rin was certain he was right. All right, you are the strongest ninja in the village, so I guess it would only make sense if you were to fight her. So do you want someone to come with you? Kakashi stepped up. I'll go with him. Our fighting styles sync up the best, and I know the most about Grandma's fighting style. Obito had always wanted to fight alongside his son. I'd be honored if you went with me, Kakashi. Enko just had to comment, sounds like the world's weirdest family reunion. Obito ended up laughing. Honestly, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Okay, that who else do we need to go after? Tsunade looked over the last 4 members of the Akatsuki: Kisame, Tenaki, Deidara, and Sasori. Obito wasn't overly concerned about them. If we take out my mother and Pain they'll disperse on their own. All I really think we need to do now is figure out where they would be hiding. Tsunade comment, the spy network is working hard, but we've lost pretty much any trace of them at the moment. They're supposed to give me a list of leads in about 2 weeks, so we're pretty much stuck here till then. Obito didn't see what else they had to talk about. In that case, I think this meeting is over. They were all stopped by the voice of an old friend. I'm afraid we've got one last thing to talk about. Obito looked over to see Hiruzen had been the one to cut in. Is there something wrong, sir? Hiruzen wasn't sure how to say this. Tsunade, I believe you already know what I'm going to bring up. Tsunade looked down. I was hoping to avoid this conversation, but yeah, those tests were absolutely certain. Hiruzen started to explain. I went in for my biannual medical exams last week, and I'm sorry to say, I'm dying. You could have heard a pin drop in the room. Asuma could barely choke out, "You're dying?" Hiruzen knew this wasn't going to be easy for them to hear. My body is finally starting to give out on me, mainly my heart. I've got a month at most, but that's if I do nothing but lie down in bed all day. Asuma couldn't believe this. Come on Dad, you can't be serious. If this is one of your jokes it's not freaking funny. Hiruzen knew his son wasn't going to take this well. It's not a joke son, my time has finally come. Now, there's one thing I need to say right away. When it comes to the matter of my funeral, Obito was ready, we'll make it the finest we can. Everything we could possibly. Hiruzen cut him off. No, that's just it. I don't want a funeral. Asuma didn't get it. How can you not want a funeral, Dad? Hiruzen wasn't exactly your typical person, simple, because funerals are for the living. I don't want a bunch of people standing in room with me dead as doornail in box while everybody cries. That's not my style. Frankly, I think if Jiraiya had been able to, he would have said no funeral as well. Asuma wanted to make his father as happy as he could. Okay then, what do you want us to do? Hiruzen smirked. I want you people have a party, get drunk off your asses, tell stories about me, that kind of thing. You people shouldn't be crying over my death, you should be celebrating my life. Asuma always did know how unconventional his father loved to be, and he loved him even more for it. Alright Dad, if that's what you want then that's what we'll do. Hiruzen was glad everybody saw it his way. Glad you think so. I've never been one for that teary-eyed stuff anyways. Obito didn't have a clue how to say this after Hiruzen dropped a bomb like that. So now is everybody ready to end the meeting? No one said otherwise. Okay then, you're all dismissed. Hiruzen walked right up his son. Are you okay, Asuma? I know this is kind of a shock to you. Asuma had known this was coming eventually but really didn't know how to handle it. I just wish the times was a little better. Hiruzen raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Kurenai walked over and stood next to Asuma, taking her hand in his. We were hoping to tell you this under better circumstances, but I guess that's not an option. About a month ago I went to see Shizune because I wasn't feeling well and we got some pretty big news. I'm pregnant. Hiruzen broke into a massive grin. That's wonderful. When are you due? Kurenai was glad to see he was happy for them. In about 7 or 8 months. I'm sorry you won't be around to get to know your new grandchild. Hiruzen was happy for them all right. Oh, don't you worry about me, I'm just glad you're getting a little one to call your own. Tsunade came over and tapped him on the shoulder. Sorry to break up the moment, but we've got to leave for your appointment. Hiruzen had almost forgotten. Right, my apologies, but I've got to go. We'll talk later, I promise. The pair walked away and Asuma turned to Kurenai. Kurenai-chan, I think we need to push up our wedding plans. Kurenai was surprised to hear that. They'd been talking about getting married for a while now and the pregnancy was just the kick in the pants they needed to go through with it. Still, they hadn't even announced their engagement yet and they weren't planning on having the wedding for at least another 6 months. This wasn't like Asuma at all. Just how far were you wanting to push them up? Asuma gulped as he said, 2 weeks from today. Kurenai's jaw dropped. TWO weeks. Are you insane? Why on earth would we? Oh, I get it. You want your father to be there. Asuma could see she already had him figured out. Yeah, I know that might seem kind of selfish, but... Kurenai put a hand to his mouth to stop him. It's not the least bit selfish, it's actually really sweet. Do you have enough money to push it up that much? Money wasn't a problem, the Sarutobi clans got plenty of cash. Between that and the investments I've made over the years, I'm a relatively rich man. Do you think you can plan your dream wedding in just 2 weeks? Kurenai burst out laughing. Asuma-kun, I've been planning this day since I turned 14. If you've got the cash, I've got the plans. Asuma suddenly realized something. Shit, I've still gotta figure out my groomsmen and everything. Kurenai giggled, I've already got all of mine figured out. I'm thinking Anko, Sakura, Rin, and Hinata. Asuma figured those would be her answers. Anko and Rin had been her best friends for years. Sakura was her student in Genjutsu since she left the academy, and she'd been teaching Hinata since she was 5. He tried to get a few ideas of his own in his mind. Konohamaru is for sure gonna be one. I think Obito might be willing too, but he's gonna have to perform the ceremony, so he's out. Guy would be devastated if I didn't have him, and of course I've gotta have Choji and Shikamaru in there too. Konohamaru, Guy, Choji, and Shikamaru. That was surprisingly easy. Kurenai was getting really excited. I'm gonna go and tell them the good news. You go get your groomsmen too. Oh, this is so great. Asuma pulled his soon-to-be wife in for a kiss. I love sweetie. Kurenai was so happy. I love you too, Asuma-kun.